You graduated top of your class. That is not a miracle, that is 4 years of living on instant noodles and borrowed textbooks while everyone else spent their weekends at parties you could not afford. You came from nothing. A single mom scrubbing hotel floors on double shifts just to keep the lights on. A 2-bedroom apartment where the walls were thin enough to hear your neighbors argue about the rent. But you were sharp, the kind of sharp that made professors lean forward in their chairs and classmates sit a little further back. Law school was supposed to be your ticket out, and on paper, it worked. You passed the bar on your first attempt. Top of your class, a spotless record. That looked incredible on a resume, but paper does not pay a $14,000 in student loans. The job offers rolling in public defender slots, 70 cases at a time, a salary that barely covers a studio apartment in the worst part of town. Then the envelope shows up. No return address, no letterhead, just a single card inside with a name printed in clean black ink, a firm you have never heard of, and a phone number. You call it the next morning. A woman with a voice like polished glass answers and schedules an interview for that afternoon. The office sits on the 42nd floor of a building you walked past 1,000 times without ever looking up. Floor-to-ceiling windows, leather so soft it almost breathes, the kind of silence that costs money to maintain. At the end of a long mahogany table sits a man named Vasquez. He is not loud, not flashy. He is the opposite, calm, measured, the type of calm that only comes from knowing exactly how much power you hold in any room you step into. He looks you over the way you would read a contract, slow, deliberate. Then he speaks. He has heard about you. He needs someone who is brilliant, hungry, and smart enough not to ask questions that do not have answers. The salary he quotes makes your stomach drop. You try to keep your face neutral. You fail. You should walk out. Every ethics class you ever sat through is screaming from the back of your skull. But ethics does not pay student loans. You extend your hand. You shake his. And the clock starts ticking. The work is clean, at least on the surface. Contract, negotiations, business disputes. Corporate mergers between companies you have never heard of. Standard stuff. Dressed up in expensive packaging. You are good at it. Exceptional, actually. And Vasquez notices. He keeps you close. But never too close. Each case is a test you did not sign up for, and each one you pass opens another door. You are being evaluated. You can feel it, but you do not yet know what you are being evaluated for. Then one Tuesday, everything shifts. Vasquez calls you into his office, closes the door, sits across from you with the same unreadable expression he has worn since the day you met. He slides a single file across the desk, one name, one charge, possession, with intent to distribute, and one instruction: make it disappear. You open the file. The room goes very quiet. The defendant is not some street corner. Nobody. He is a man you have seen in this very lobby. Someone who held the elevator door for you last week. Someone who smiled at you like you were already part of the family. And the evidence against him is brutal. Surveillance footage. Wiretap signed off by a federal judge. A signed confession recorded by DA agents. Any lawyer with functioning instincts would look at this file and see a dead end. But Vasquez did not hire you because you see dead ends. He hired you because you turned them into open roads. You bury yourself in the case for 2 weeks straight. You are not looking for loopholes. Loopholes are obvious. You are looking for cracks, something microscopic, something the prosecution never thought to check, and you find it. A single procedural error buried in the wiretap authorization. The paperwork was filed 12 hours past the legal deadline. In 90% of cases, nobody catches it, but you catch everything. You walk into that courtroom and you take that 12-hour window and you incinerate the prosecution's entire case. Every piece of evidence thrown out. Every witness discredited before they finish their first sentence. The jury never hears the real story. The verdict comes back in 38 minutes. Not guilty. That night Vasquez calls you at home. His voice is the same, as always, measured, controlled. But buried underneath, so deep you almost miss it. There is something that sounds like pride. He says 2 words: welcome home. After that first case, the work changes shape. Not overnight. Vasquez is too disciplined for that. He feeds you cases the way you would introduce someone to a live wire, one vault at a time until they stop flinching. Next comes a money laundering investigation. You find the legal scaffolding to shield 3 shell companies from federal scrutiny in under a week. Then an arms trafficking case that never makes it to trial because the star witness suddenly develops a serious memory problem. You do not ask why. You have learned by now that some questions are not meant to be asked out loud in this building. Each case pulls you deeper. Each paycheck arrives on time, clean and untraceable. You move out of your cramped studio into a real apartment. You start sending money home to your mom without explaining where it comes from. You buy her winter coat for Christmas. She cries on the phone and tells you she has never been prouder of you. That one cuts deeper than you expect. But the real currency is not money, it is access. Vasquez starts bringing you into meetings that have no business, including a lawyer at your level. Closed door sessions where men in perfectly tailored suits discuss supply routes and territorial disputes the same way Wall Street executives discuss quarterly projections, calm, precise numbers on a whiteboard. You are not just a lawyer anymore. You are an architect. Every legal wall you construct, every investigation you quietly smother, every rival you destroy on paper feeds the same machine. And you are finally starting to see the full blueprint. 8 months in, Vasquez hands you something different. Not a defense case, not a corporate filing, a target. His name is Torres, a competitor who has been bleeding the organization's supply lines dry from the south. Torres has his own legal team, his own political connections, and his own muscle. Vasquez does not want Torres in a cell. He wants Torres erased legally. He slides a dossier across your desk thick enough to make the mahogany groan. Every property Torres owns, every shell company tied to his name, every transaction that does not quite balance. Your job is not to prosecute him. Your job is to bury him. You spend 6 weeks working entirely from the shadows. Anonymous tips to federal regulators. Forensic accounting trails that lead directly into Torres's fronts. Businesses. You file injunctions. You freeze accounts. You do not fire a single shot. But by the time you are finished, Torres's entire operation is crushed under an avalanche of paperwork that will take years to climb out from under. Torres vanishes 3 weeks later. You never find out exactly what happened to him. You do not ask. Vasquez moves you into an office on the top floor. The real one, not the starter office he gave you on day one to make you feel welcome. This one has a window that looks out over the entire city. And for the first time it hits you that the view is not a reward. It is a warning about exactly how far you have left to fall. You are a year deep now, deep enough to know which judges sit on the payroll, deep enough to know which politicians owe the organization favors, and exactly how much each one costs to keep in line. Deep enough to understand that prestigious legal firm you walked into 13 months ago is nothing more than a perfectly constructed shell wrapped around the most efficient criminal operation in the country, and you helped build half the walls holding it together. The realization does not hit you like a freight train. It seeps in, slowly the way water finds a crack in a foundation. One morning you are reviewing a shipping contract for a company registered in Panama, and it all clicks into place. Every case you have won, every rival you dismantled on paper, every investigation you quietly killed feeds the same engine. You are not practicing law anymore, you are laundering it. It happens on a Wednesday. A junior associate you have been mentoring, fresh out of law school, with the same hungry, idealistic look you were 13 months ago, stumbles onto something she was never supposed to find, a file buried deep in the firm system. Financial records connecting two of Vasquez's front companies directly to a human trafficking operation running out of a port on the eastern coast. She comes to your office, closes the door behind her. Her hands are shaking. She wants to know what to do. You look at her and you see exactly who you were before this building swallowed you whole. Someone who believed the law existed to protect people. Someone who thought justice meant something more than a word carved above a courthouse entrance. You have 10 seconds to make the right choice. If she goes public, everything collapses. The firm, the operation, and you, every case you have touched, every wall you helped construct, every decision you made comes crashing down on top of you. But if she stays quiet, another shipment clears the port. More people disappear into a machine you have been legally protecting for over a year. You open your mouth to speak, and Vasquez's voice comes from the doorway behind you. He already knows what follows, moves with the kind of cold precision that only comes from years of practice. Vasquez does not raise his voice. He does not need to. He lays out your situation the way a surgeon explains a diagnosis before the first cut. Calm, direct, final. The associate will be handled. Your path is simple. Stay and keep the machine running, or walk out that door and trust that a man who has destroyed entire organizations with paperwork will not do the same to you. You think about running. You think about the evidence you have been quietly stockpiling for months. Every receipt, every recording, every document that proves exactly what this firm has done and exactly how you helped make it possible. But then you Think about your mother, about the money you have been sending home, about what your name on the front page of every newspaper in this country would do to the woman who raised you. You sit back, down, you pick up the pen, you sign the next document. Vasquez slides across the desk. The law was supposed to be the great equalizer, the system that gave people like you a fighting chance against people like Vasquez. But somewhere in this building, on some floor you cannot quite pinpoint, you stopped using the law to fight monsters. You became the reason they never see the inside of a courtroom. You did not fail the law all at once. You failed at one perfectly legal step at a time. That wraps it up for today. This story is fiction, but somewhere out there are lawyers making decisions exactly like these every single day. If this one hit you, drop a comment below and tell me what got you the most. I have more stories like this coming your way, so make sure you hit subscribe so you do not miss them. See you in the next one.